I don't remember half this shit.
Hey. Hi. I just had to cut my life short and I'm back on. I'm going to finish what I was saying because I found the rest of it. Hi. I found the rest of it. We're gonna continue on Project 2025. The other 4 topics I wanted to talk about, but I had to go feed my dogs real quick. It's normally my husband's day to feed the dogs, but with the dogs' new feeding, I had to teach him how to feed the dogs, and I forgot that it was Sunday and it was his turn. So I had to go teach him how to feed the dogs because 3 of the dogs have a new change in diet. So we're going to do the other 4, and these ones absolutely do affect you. I can guarantee at least 1 to 2 of these will affect you. For anybody that in the last live, if you missed the last live, it's only 34 minutes long, and you can catch it right before this one. It's labeled Joe Biden gets out of the presidential race and Project 2025. That is the first portion of Project 2025, which dealt with things like women, LGBTQ, people of color, immigrations, and how essentially all power would be presidential and checks and balances, executive branches, and everything would be nullified. Starlito, it gets better. It gets better. Yeah. No, it gets a lot better. Just stick around. It gets great. So we're gonna get into the next part here. There's gonna be about 4 more parts. So the next thing is that the country will be under Christian nationalism. So there's an effort to instill precepts of the Christian nationalism into the government and public life should Trump win a second term. In 2021 opinion piece, Voigt wrote that Christian nationalism recognizes America as a Christian nation and makes a commitment to an institutional separation between church and state, but not the separation of Christianity from its influence on government and society. According to Vaught, Christians are under assault, and he has sought to use his regular contacts with Trump to elevate Christian nationalism as a focal point should Trump be reelected president. Voigt has close ties with another former Trump administration official and Christian nationalist. Just so I can paint this picture for you, a lot of Christian nationalists also are involved with the KKK. Just so you know. William Wolfe, who, according to an online manifesto, seeks to implement a Bible-based system of government whereby Christ-ordained civil magistrates exercise authority over the American public. In February of 2024, a former Christian nationalist, Brad Onishi, who now studies religion and extremism, noted that Lance Wallnau of the New Apostolic Reformation said Trump was anointed, and recently announced that he was partnering with Charlie Kirk, a Project 2025 member. He observed that Speaker of the House Mike Johnson has direct ties to the New Apostolic Reformation. He does, and he also spearheaded in making Project 2025. Part of the reason he was elected. In his 2024 campaign speeches, Trump has echoed various aspects of Project 2025, including the promotion of Christian nationalism. Hold on. The economy. Project 2025 provides a range of options for economic reform that vary in their degree of radicalism. It is critical of the Federal Reserve, which it blames for the business cycle and proposes abolishing it. It advocates for free banking and or the dollar being backed by a commodity such as gold. It recommends eliminating full employment from the Federal Reserve's mandate, instead focusing solely on targeting inflation. The project envisions that eventually moving from an income tax to a consumption tax, such as a national sales tax. In the interim, they seek to extend the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. It is further recommends simplifying individual income taxes to 2 flat rates, 15% on incomes up to the Social Security wage basis, which is 160. If you make up to 168,000, you'll be taxed at 15%, and 30% if you make above that. An unspecified standard deduction would be included, but most deductions, credits, and exclusions would be eliminated. You are allowed to do deductions currently, and they would be eliminated. The proposal would likely increase taxes significantly for millions of low to middle income households. If you are middle class or lower, your taxes will be upped. It aims to reduce corporate tax rates from 21 to 18%, calling it the most damaging tax in the country. They do not want to tax businesses. They want to tax you. The 2017 cut rate, TCJA cut the rate from 35 to 21, already cutting business taxes from 35% to 21%. They want to take it from 21% to 18%. It proposes that reducing the capital gains rate for high earners to 15 from 20. So the more you make, the less they take. Only for really, really high income people. After these reforms are implemented, it recommends that a 3/5 vote threshold will be required to pass legislation that increases individual or corporate income tax to create a wall of protection for these reforms. These will never be fixed. They're going to take down the corporate tax rate by at least 3%, which it had already dropped 14%, and they are going to raise low to middle income taxes up to 15%. Despite a wide consensus that enforcing legislation binds a subsequent Congress is unconstitutional. Taken all together, these proposals are expected to increase the government deficit. They know this. It's right in here. They know that it's going to increase our deficit. They don't care. The project proposes merging the Bureau of Economic Analysis and the Census Bureau and the Bureau of Labor Statistics into a single organization, aligning its mission with conservative principles. It recommends maximizing the hiring of political appointees in statistical analysis positions. It suggests abolishing the Economic Development Administration, and if that proves impossible, having them instead assist rural communities destroyed by the Biden administration's attack on domestic energy production. By 2023, the Biden administration had already granted more permits for oil and gas drilling than its predecessor. Project 2025 also seeks to facilitate the innovations in civilian nuclear industry. The project declares that God ordained the Sabbath as a day of rest and recommends legislation requiring that Americans be paid more for working on Sunday. It also aims to institute work requirements for people reliant on SNAP, which includes food stamps. There's more on that, by the way. Hold on. Project 2025 is split on the issue of foreign trade. And regarding bank regulation, they recommend merging the offices and the Federal Reserve's non-monetary supervisory and regulatory functions. In a footnote, the document says that deposit insurance undermines the incentive of bank depositors to monitor bank portfolios. Here's the one that's really going to get your goat if you are low income or have children. Probably should have opened with this one. A major concern of Project 2025 is what it calls woke propaganda in public schools. In response, it envisions a dramatic reduction in the federal government's role in education and the elevation of school choice and parents' rights. For Project 2025, education should be left to the states. To achieve that goal, it proposes eliminating the Department of Education, allowing states to opt out of federal programs or standards. Programs under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act would be administered by the Department of Health and Human Services. The National Center for Education Statistics would become part of the Census Bureau. The federal government, according to Project 2025, should be no more than a statistics-giving organization when it comes to education. Federal enforcement of civil rights in schools would be significantly curtailed. Such as responsibilities would be transferred to the Department of Justice, but the DOJ would be able to enforce law only through litigation. The federal government would no longer investigate schools for signs of disparate impacts of disciplinary measures on the basis of race or ethnicity. Project 2025 explicitly rejects the pursuit of racial parity in school discipline indicators, such as detention, suspensions, expulsions over the student safety. A federal fund worth $18 billion for low-income students would be allowed to expire, and those responsibilities would devolve to the states. Public funds for education would be available as school vouchers with no strings attached, even for parents sending their children to private or religious schools. Those who can afford private schools would have access to programs that would take from poor people. Cuts would be made to the funding for free meals at school. The Head Start program that provides services to children to low-income families would be eliminated. For the project's backers, education is private rather than a public good. Project 2025 criticizes programs to forgive student loans. It encourages the president to ensure that any research conducted with the taxpayer dollars serves the national interest in a concrete way in line with conservative principles. For example, research in climatology should receive considerably less funding in line with their view on climate change. By the way, climate change doesn't exist.
You're already seeing this in Florida,
Yes.
where they ban critical
Yes.
race theory.
Yes, Florida's already banned critical race theory, and that is completely backed by the president, by the way. They are going to be allowed to basically come in and take out any book that that features or has people of color, even so much as if they wrote the book. And if you do not believe me, you can look into Florida. Florida has absolutely implemented this already. The amount of books that was pulled from the shelves is fantastic with how many. And if you look at the books that are being involved, a lot of them were taken off the shelves merely for being written by people of color. No, Marie, absolutely not. I like the fact that you love watching me, and you have for a long time. But first of all, if you love watching me, then you should enjoy who I am as a person. And this affects me as a person. This affects you as a person. This affects your daughters and your grandchildren and your mother. This affects any woman. This affects any LGBTQ member. This affects any non-Christian person. This affects any child. This affects any low-income person. This affects immigrants. This affects anyone who is not male, Christian, and white. And I will spread that word. And if I lose followers, I am perfectly okay with that. If people do not want to watch my content because I choose to inform people about the fact that they are blindly following a cult leader, I will do that. If you happen to watch part 1, there are things in there that absolutely talk to the fact that they are talking about internment camps. Internment camps for immigration, internment camps for the homeless. We are following Hitler's reign if Project 2025 comes to fruition. If for some reason, after all of this happens and your taxes go up and you can't afford anything and you are homeless, you will be put into a camp, a concentration camp. And for anybody who thinks that I am being exaggerating in this, go read the 960 plus page document manifesto of Project 2025. I've read you guys Cliff Notes right now. It is everywhere. It needs to be everywhere because here's the thing. We're about to vote here in another 4 months, not even almost exactly 4 months. We're going to vote. And the problem is people are not being informed of what they're voting for. Some people are rallying behind Trump right now because he had an assassination attempt, if you want to call it that. Okay. And he's a hero and he survived and he's Iron Man and he's Superman and he'll grow back an ear that's going to be better. Okay. That's not the case. If this man puts his big fat Cheeto ass in the seat, women, low income families, any person who is LGBTQ or a person of color is going to be persecuted. This is fact. This is from Project 2025. They are going to cut Medicare. They are going to cut Head Start. They are going to cut free lunches. They are going to raise taxes. They are going to take away any form of abortion. They do not care if it is medically necessary. They are going to take away contraceptives. They are going to remove same-sex marriage. They are going to go after interracial marriage after the fact. They do not want single mothers. They do not want people that are not nuclear family in the fact of heterosexual. We are going to lose the rights. Every right that we've had, that we have striven for the past 10 years is going to be stripped from us on the day of inauguration. This is not things that are going to come to fruition in months or 6 months or a year. They are saying that Project 2025, the moment he is sworn in, goes into effect. Goes into effect. The day of. They are going to get rid of checks and balances. They are going to get rid of the executive branches. That the president's word is law. He can do what he wants. He can fill his cabinet full of MAGAs that don't even understand how to run a country. If you speak out about Trump, you can be persecuted. If you do not understand, if I were to tell you all of the things I just told you, you would think I was talking about 1940 Nazi Germany.
This includes liberal media.
This includes everything. We could be shut down in the way that China is shut down. They are talking about the fact that you must be Christian, you must be straight, you must be rich. And if you're not, we're going to tax you into the poorhouse. And once you get to the poorhouse, we're going to put you in a camp. And if you can't afford your kids and you can't afford to feed them, we're going to take them from you. And the kids that are in your belly that you don't want, you have to have them. And when you can't afford them, we're going to take those from you as well. We're going to cut your medical care. We're going to cut everything that was going to keep you alive. If you do not make in the top 4%, you are not going to survive. This is why that needs to be talked about. We have people right now, I showed a video of it yesterday, that are walking around with bandages on their right ear in a solidarity for Trump. They are walking around with bandages on their ear, like Christ on the cross, okay? This is a cult. They are basically talking about eugenics and the fact that they want to keep the white base white and the black base black, and they don't need to be mixing. That men can't love men and women can't love women, and anybody who is trans, they have to get off of their hormones. That they're not to be called by their preferred name, that they cannot gender change at all. And more often than not, I'm just going to throw out there that if this happens, they're probably going to even be persecuted for it. There are people who had to wear a star. The Jews had to wear a star to show who they were. You think that's not going to happen to gay people? You think that everything I say is crazy? It is in this manifesto.
Trans who were born female will have to wear a female symbol. Mm-hmm. Trans that were born male will have to wear a male symbol.
And gays may have to wear a gay symbol. We don't know. They want to get rid of every immigrant. But mind you, his wife can stay. His wife's an immigrant.
Hell, her parents didn't even immigrate until after they were married.
His wife's allowed to stay, but nobody else's is. And they're going to use they're going to use the National Guard. They're going to create martial law. They're going to bring people in to take people out. They're going to ramp them all up. They're going to put them in Texas. I read this in the first one. They're going to take people and they're going to put them in camps. Everything that anybody has worked for in the past 10 years is going to be completely undone within days because of executive orders. Executive orders, you get X amount, but according to Project 2025, the first thing they're going to do, abolish that too. Whatever the president wants, the president gets. He can do whatever he wants. He can break any law he wants according to Project 2025. He can actually, in effect, change how often you can be.
He's going to do away with parts of the Constitution.
Yeah. They're going to take away parts of the Constitution, and he can make it to where he can make it into where he is a king, essentially, to where he doesn't have to be reelected again.
A dictator.
It's a dictatorship. And the fact is, most of the people that are backing him are people that he actually wants to destroy. He wants to destroy the poor people. And there is a I hope I can find it really quick. Probably not. I have it in my saved, but hold on.
Some people are really fucking stupid.
I'm trying to hold. Sorry.
Some people are really. Did you ever notice that? How many really
I'm trying to get the one where he reads it in his own words.
I'm about to tell you actually happened. Hundreds of QAnon followers from across the country gathered in.
Oh, okay, here we go.
You said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd win. I tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life. And if I did decide to do it, I think I'd be inclined. I would say that I would have a hell of a chance of winning, because I think people, I don't know how your audience is, but I think people are tired of seeing the United States ripped off. And I can't promise you everything, but I can tell you one thing: this country would make one hell of a lot of money from those people that for 25 years have taken advantage. It wouldn't be the way it's been.
This isn't the one I wanted. Hold on.
And it just seems that, it just seems that the economy does better under the Democrats than the Republicans. Now, it shouldn't be that way, but we've had some pretty bad disaster under the Republicans.
The one I'm trying to show you.
If I were to what this clip from the 80s really says about Donald Trump's presidential campaign. Back in 1988, on the Oprah Winfrey Show, she asked Trump, "Would you ever run for president?" And he said this.
Probably not, but I do get tired of seeing the country ripped off.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the...
Republicans are so completely...
Oh, my
Check out
Lord.
this long-lost video.
For some people, the ultimate goal
The one where he's talking about he would run as a Republican because Republicans are so stupid.
Let me begin this evening by expressing...
All right, here's the quote, okay? Here's the quote. I don't have it in his voice, but here's the quote. If I were to run, I'd run as a Republican. They're the dumbest group of voters in the country. They believe anything on Fox News. I could lie and they'd still eat it up. I bet my numbers would be terrific. That was from People magazine in 1998. He calls his own voters stupid. He ran as a Republican because he knew that they were stupid and that he would get their vote. And these are the people who look at him like some weird god that has fallen from the heavens.
Okay.
It is wild to me.
My gratitude.
Wow. Earlier today, MSNBC asked a Republican in Massachusetts why she would no longer.
And by the way, fun fact here, just so you know, back in 2011, Trump actually donated to Kamala Harris's fund. He thought she was amazing in 2011, and now he gets to run against her, so that's fun. He thought she was great back then. But he thinks the Republicans are idiots, and they're the ones who are voting for him.
Who's the old one with the mention?
And
now?
a lot of Republicans fall into two very, very distinct categories: extremely, extremely, extremely rich, where nothing phases them, and extremely, extremely, extremely poor. A lot of Republican-ran states, heavy Republican states, are the poorest states in the country, including mine. Mine is the 5th poorest in the entire nation. And matter of fact, I have the poorest county in the nation, half an hour from me. The reason, people aren't talking enough about politics to me right now. Because if they did, if people actually got their hands or sat down and read this, even the cliff notes of Project 2025, to inform themselves of what they are signing up for and not blindly just following somebody who's charismatic. Trump says a lot of things without saying anything. He talks a lot. He does one thing. Oh my gosh, what was it? Oh, I can't. Oh, oh my God, it's called stone analogy, something where, oh my Lord, I wish I had it with me. It's exactly what he does. But it's people that they talk without saying a lot of anything. And to listen to him, he's very charismatic. He can sell water to a drowning man. He's charismatic. But that doesn't mean that it's accurate.
The day he was shot, he released for sale another pair of tennis shoes.
What?
With a picture of him holding his fist up after he was shot on them. The same day. He still hasn't reached out to the family who lost their husband and father.
Biden did, though. And you know what?
Biden did.
Yeah.
Didn't answer the phone.
She wouldn't answer the phone. But Trump didn't call.
She said, I'll answer the phone if Trump calls, but I'm not answering the phone.
My husband is a staunch Republican, and he wouldn't want me to do that. Right, but the one that he was there supporting, that he essentially gave his life for, by the way, did anybody think about that? The man gave his life for Trump support, and Trump couldn't even call him. Instead, he called RFK and tried to get RFK on to give up his run and back Trump instead of calling that man's wife.
I think it's funny that it was RFK Jr.'s
son that outed it. RFK's son outed the phone call. It was deleted, but the internet lives forever. So somebody caught it, screen recorded it. And the same day, instead of calling, to talk about whatever, he called RFK and was trying to get RFK to literally drop out of the race and essentially innuendo typed of promising him a spot on his cabinet and was saying how we are going to win. And one thing that I'm very interested in with the fact that they put out that video of Trump literally trying to cajole RFK to his side saying we are going to win. How is that not rigging an election? Because he is literally saying for people to either vote for him or RFK just to divert votes from the Democratic Party.
At the RNC, he flat out said, I'm trying to buy your votes.
Oh my God, it's so frustrating. So many people do not understand that there's so much to lose if this happens. Yes, you'll be able to have a president where you can freely be a bigot. You can freely talking about in front of your daughters about grabbing them by the, or
those rights too.
Right. Or whatever, or sit there and you get to tote your guns. I'm sure you do until the government comes and takes those too, because there'll be an uprising at some point. But they don't realize how much there is to lose. These people that are voting for him that don't understand, they are going to cut Head Start. They are going to cut school lunches. They are going to cut Medicaid. They are going to cut Medicare. They are going to raise the prices of pharmaceuticals. They are going to raise taxes. I don't understand what people think is a good thing. There is a video out. It's on Tizzy N's page, by the way, of what the Lincoln Project put out a video of what would be Trump's first 100 days. And it sounds exaggerated. It sounds crazy. It sounds wild. But listening to Project 2025, that is exactly what would happen. That is exactly what would happen. And honestly, it's freaking terrifying when it's put out like this. Hold on. I can find it. Give me 1 second. Oh, hey, the Lincoln Project has their own page. Would they have it right here? No, that's not it. Hold on. Let me just go to Tizzy's page. Tizzy has it. If I can find it. Well, here's the linked call. Oh. Guess I won't be able to find it. It's here somewhere, but anyways, it's wild.
I highly suggest looking up Tyler Cohen.
So let's see. Hold on. Oh, what's this? What is this? I don't know what I'm getting myself into by clicking this, but it sounded interesting. I don't know what this is. Hold on. It's on. Okay.
The most terrifying policy proposals for a possible Trump second term are all spelled out in one document, Project 2025. From eliminating the entire education department to outlawing all stem cell research, the 900-page blueprint would radically reshape the federal government. You want to know how bad it is? Trump has tried to distance himself from it, even though a slew of his former advisors helped write it. But as awful as Project 2025 is, my next guest read the entire plan and discovered how it is uniquely bad for Black Americans. Among the plans, ending support for Black home ownership and businesses. Joining me now is Michael Harriot, columnist for The Griot and author of Black AF History, the unwhitewashed story of America. Michael, thank you very much for coming to this Saturday show. First, give me 3 of the policies that target African Americans.
So 3 of the worst are the effort to basically end every civil rights department in every federal agency. So we know there's a civil rights department in the DOJ, but there's also one in the Department of Education, which he wants to end. He also wants to end the federal procurement agencies, discrimination policies. But the worst of all is the effort to end or to include what they call school choice, which is basically the privatization of every school district in America. So those are the 3 things, just among the 3 things that are harmful to African Americans.
You argue there's a kind of evil genius to Project 2025, writing, and I'm quoting, as much as it pains me to admit it, their strategy to erase racism throughout America is pretty brilliant. What's their secret?
So one of the things that we know about some of the racial disparities in America is because of every federal department collects racial data. You know, we know that that white men are sentenced to shorter sentences than Black people who commit the same crime and have the same criminal history because the Sentencing Commission collects that data. Same with education. And what they want to do is end the collection of this racial data that proves the disparities that we've been fighting about and fighting for progress in for all of these years. So it's kind of brilliant to just erase any evidence of racism, and then you can claim, well, racism doesn't exist.
You know, you point out that Project 2025 openly attacks the idea of equity in America. What does that tell you about?
Absolutely. Now I'm trying to find this. I didn't get to go on here yet. Hold on. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Nicole Hockley from Sandy Hook Promise.
This is
I know this is hard
ad.
to hear, but it's important.
November 5th, 2024. Donald Trump defeats a divided and dispirited Democratic campaign. On January 20th, 2025, Donald Trump is sworn in as the 47th President of the United States. Unfortunately, he keeps his promises. Trump seizes control of a divided government, signing hundreds of executive orders implementing Project 2025. Trump replaces over 50,000 civil servants with hardline MAGA loyalists. The federal oath of office now requires declaring loyalty to the president, not the Constitution. Protected by the Supreme Court's grant of total immunity for official acts, Donald Trump orders the Department of Justice to arrest members of the January 6th Commission, current and former DOJ employees, and political opponents for treason, election interference, and conspiracy. He declares it to be an official act. Trump ends birthright citizenship by executive order and turns millions of American-born citizens into illegal aliens overnight. Mass deportations begin. Hundreds of thousands, including legal U.S. residents and American citizens, are imprisoned in newly built camps. Protests erupt. Trump addresses the nation from the Oval Office, invoking the Insurrection Act and declaring the protesters a danger to American sovereignty. He orders the National Guard to use deadly force to suppress the protests. In the wake of the bloody violence, Trump declares nationwide martial law, awarding himself new powers under the freshly signed American Sovereignty Protection Order, which defines protest of immigration policies as non-protected speech and a threat to national security. Governors in New York, California, Illinois, and elsewhere declare their opposition, promising to refuse compliance in their states. Trump orders their arrests. Trump pardons every January 6th attacker, including those who assaulted the police, and in a White House ceremony issues a new presidential medal honoring them. Many are given jobs in his administration. The Department of Education is renamed the Department of American Values and mandates a nationwide Christian nationalist curriculum for all schools receiving federal aid. Trump, joined by Speaker Mike Johnson and evangelical leaders, announces that the Department of Health and Human Services has reclassified mifepristone, making it illegal to distribute or prescribe, as well as new HHS regulations that make IVF treatments impossible to legally administer. Trump reverses one campaign promise by declaring a national abortion ban by executive order. Challenges to his authority are rejected by the Supreme Court, which has seen new appointments from Trump after it was expanded to 12 justices. He signs an executive order removing abortion records from HIPAA privacy regulations and announces a new federal data sharing program so states can monitor women's periods. Thousands are detained while crossing state lines under suspicion of seeking an abortion. Trump's acting Secretary of Defense, a disgraced ex-general, fires over 400 generals and admirals, leaving the military leaderless. Other Trump appointees purge the ranks of the CIA, FBI, and Department of Justice. By executive order, Trump withdraws the United States from NATO and ends Pentagon cooperation with Ukraine. Russian tanks enter Kyiv. Vladimir Zelensky is killed. It is announced that Trump will run for a third term, claiming he was unfairly cheated in the 2020 election. His Supreme Court ultimately agrees with this interpretation, paving the way for Trump's 2028 re-election. If you hear all this and believe it is impossible, then ask yourself, what did you believe was impossible just 8 years ago? This isn't a fantasy. It's Trump's plan, and he's counting on you to believe it couldn't happen.
That is terrifying. Like, I picture everything as that was happening. And like, there's a movie, what's it called? Civil War 2024, remember? And it is literally verbatim when they started naming off the states, California, that's literally what happens in that movie. California and Texas declare civil war, and everything starts ensuing because they will not take part in all of this. And it is literally a plot from that movie. It is literally a plot from that movie. And you think, okay, well, none of this could happen. But I literally just sat and read everything that they just said. Everything they just said is literally outlined in that document. And if people took the time to read it, took the time to understand what it is you are actually voting for, I don't think a lot of people would vote that way. When they realize exactly what in there is going to affect them, whether it's something just as easy as a tax cut. I mean, another thing you guys have to remember is you're not just voting for yourselves, you're voting for future generations. What are you going to do when you vote your daughter's bodily autonomy away? What are you going to do when you made the vote that made it to where your child went out to a friend's house, was walking home, was attacked, and now has to carry that baby to term? Your 13-year-old daughter, because you decided to write yes on a ballot. Like, I don't think people understand what it is they're going for with all of this. I just wish people would inform themselves. You know, one of the things that I noticed, the biggest problem I had, and what was so frustrating, is during that presidential debate, I counted no less than 6 times that he didn't answer a question for a platform and deflected. He doesn't even know what his platform is, but people are saying that he won the debate. He didn't even answer 6 of the questions, at all. He absolutely refused to even answer them. And people are going to vote for that, and I don't understand why. And I think again, the one of the worst things is, in a year, would this live even be able to happen? Think about it. In a year, would I even be able to be speaking about this? What rights will be taken away on free speech? It was literally saying that, anybody who's deemed a naysayer can go to jail. Protest? You can't even protest now? What happened to right of peaceful protest, part of the First Amendment? That's just gone now too. Anything can be gone. Well, whatever I want to do, I can do. You cannot let one person have that much power, because then you can never stop them. You can never stop them. But I can assure you that even though this live has not very many people in it, because people don't want to have to think, they don't want to have to consider that they are doing things that are going to implement changes on people that they have no right to implement. That this isn't some sensationalized live where I'm talking about Gypsy, so I have people in here. I've watched the numbers drop the entire time I've been in here, because people don't want to have to face the fact that you need to grow up and read things and be an adult and realize the steps that you are taking to essentially stifle rights across the board. If you are not a straight white Christian male, you are affected by this. And I know that my particular follower base tends to be women, tends to be LGBTQ, tends to be single mothers. If you are not understanding that this does not affect you, it absolutely does. 110,000%. Of the 14 numbers I see in here, I can guarantee you, statistic wise, it affects 10 of you in some way, shape, or form. And I could even say the whole 14, because I can probably guarantee that there's no men in here. And a lot of what has to do in Project 2025 has to do with women. It should scare you for your biracial grandchildren. It should. 100,010%. It should. It should scare every person of color. It should scare every female. It should scare every female person of color. It should scare every person who relies on WIC or food stamps or Medicaid or Social Security, Medicare, public school programs.
People who are living on their retirement Social Security, that goes away.
Disability, everything. They want to cut everything. They want to give corporations bigger tax cuts. They want to tax the citizens more. There will never be getting ahead. There will never be nothing. Because no matter what we do, we will never be able to fight back. Once this ball starts rolling, it goes into effect January 20th, 2025, the day of inauguration. They are already drafting executive orders to go in that day. It affects everybody, and I don't think people realize that. They just would rather blindly, yeehaw, because they want to be able to hide behind somebody who thinks it's perfectly acceptable to spew hatred to everyone. And one thing that I can't understand is, I don't know if you scan TikTok for any amount of time, one thing that I've noticed is the southern men, the southern white men who do not like 3PDOs, right? They don't. How can you vote for one then? How can you vote for one? That man has been sued by minor children. God, I cannot remember that girl's name right now. What is that girl's name? Begins with an R. Of course, now all of a sudden, her name is all over TikTok, but now all of a sudden, I can't find her name. Of course not. The fact is, if you look at all of these, about a civil suit against him alleging he raped a 13-year-old girl was dismissed because she dropped the charges because she was being threatened. 13. The same age as his daughter at the time, by the way. That's awesome. But you guys want to elect that and put it into office. How can you claim that it's wrong and they should be jailed and this and that, and then you elect one to run office? I don't understand that concept. What more can we do?
How can you be a Christian and vote for the guy?
What more can we do? Spread the word. Spread information. Because here's the thing. If you can change one person's mind.
And then vote Democrat. I don't care if you vote Democrat the next election.
If you're in a room of 10 people and you change one person's mind, and you go to the next room and you change one person's mind, and you change one person's mind, here it is. It's a tree effect. So if I change Bob's mind, and Bob goes to a room and he changes Jimmy's mind, and then Jimmy goes to a room and Jimmy changes George's mind. In each room, that means in the first room I've changed one mind. Then that person goes and he changes another mind. That's 2 minds. This person goes, he goes to the next room. He's changed 3 minds. It's a domino effect. If we get the word out there, if we say what needs to be said, if we give the information that needs to be got that people are not listening to, are too lazy to do, you create a domino effect. If you can take one vote away from that side, and that person changes one person, and that person changes one person, and that person changes another person, all of those votes then go away. That's the importance. Yes, absolutely. All you can do is vote. Technically, yes. But you can also
spread the word
advocate.
So that other people vote.
You can also advocate, because I don't know how many people, I literally talked to somebody the other day that said, what's Project 2025? How do you not know what Project 2025 is at this point? Well, I've never heard of it. How have you not heard of it? Let me tell you about it. And then you tell somebody about it. And then maybe they tell somebody about it. Maybe they tell somebody about it.
He's claiming to have never heard it before, yet he talked about it.
With the Heritage
Foundation and the freaking project in 2020.
I wish there's a really good one that this is so frustrating, because there's so many of these I wanted to show you guys, and I don't know where they are on here. And it's so frustrating. I'm assuming it's probably one of those up there. Oh, what's this?
We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be. You know what? This comment is valid, and he's not the only one saying stuff like this. How do we know that Donald Trump is a part of Project 2025? He has his own agenda. How do we know that he's even aware of this? And here's the deal. Donald Trump claims he isn't. He posted, I know nothing about Project 2025. I have no idea who is behind it. He goes on to say he disagrees with it, wishes them luck, etc. And you got to take the man at his word, you know, unless there is proof out there that all or some of this is a lie.
Your organization is named the Heritage Foundation because you understand that our glorious heritage is the foundation of everything we hope to achieve, which is why we need the help of the Heritage Foundation and everyone here tonight to get our tax cuts through the House, through the Senate.
Tax cuts for the corporate.
I have no idea who is behind it, he said. And then I played a clip of him talking about the Heritage Foundation to the Heritage Foundation in front of a backdrop that says the Heritage Foundation on it. I would say it is a 100% impossibility that he doesn't know who Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation, is.
Oh, here's him shaking
Look,
hands.
there's Donald Trump meeting Kevin Roberts on stage and shaking his hand. But maybe that's the only connection. Or, maybe not. Do you remember this guy, John McKenzie? You may have seen him recently when he got some flack because he likes to make shit post videos on TikTok. He made one where he claims he hands out counterfeit bills to homeless people in the hopes that they'll get arrested. And he used to be a personal assistant to Donald Trump during his first term. Well, as you can see, in May of last year, the Heritage Foundation was proud to announce that John McKenzie joined them as part of the Project 2025 team, working with them. But hey, maybe him and Trump, they aren't so close anymore. Well, according to this article by Rolling Stone from May of this year, a full year after he was added to Project 2025, Trump could make this viral TikToker one of the most powerful people in government. The former president loves him. He's one of the architects at Project 2025, and he's almost certainly going to be part of Trump's administration. He's not part of his administration yet, so I don't count that. Okay, cool. How about her? You think Donald Trump knows her? As in her, Caroline Leavitt, Trump campaign national press secretary. Literally, the press secretary for his current presidential campaign. And oh look, here she is starring in a Project 2025 Presidential Administration Academy recruitment video for the Heritage Foundation. Donald Trump looking you in the face, saying he doesn't know anything about Project 2025 and he doesn't know anyone who's involved in it, has the same energy as a toddler whose face is covered in chocolate frosting, telling you, I have no idea who ate that cake. Lastly, I'll leave you with this. Several people have asked, where did this list come from? Where can I see the list? There's a bunch of lists like this out there. If you really want to confirm this list, honestly, I could send you to places where you can see a picture of the list, but that's not really the thing. If you want to confirm all this, Google Project 2025. Their website comes up, and you can read the almost 1,000-page document for yourself.
Put Medicare on the path to privatization, repeal President Biden's Medicare drug price negotiation program, threaten Medicaid coverage for hundreds of thousands of Americans, reverse the Biden administration's student debt relief efforts, withdraw from the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Paris Climate Agreement, repeal the Inflation Reduction Act, President Biden's landmark climate law, shred greenhouse gas regulations and gut clean energy programs, replace the White House climate advisor with someone focused on boosting the fossil fuel industry, give Trump the power to reject all climate science research directed by the Biden administration, gut the federal workforce and install loyalists by making tens of thousands of civil servants fireable at Trump's will, employ Trump to deploy the military against American citizens, allow ICE to conduct raids at schools, churches, hospitals, playgrounds, and other areas, allow federal government to abolish marriage, same-sex marriage. There's a million of them. Then that goes down back into transgender and abortion rights, which he's covering with his hand. Just educate yourself, educate others. Too many people say that they don't know this, they don't know that, and they do. Also, there is Trump's Project 47 published on Trump's website, which echoes most of Project 2025. I don't think it's called Project 47. I think it's called Agenda 47. I think, which I have not looked into, but I probably should. So, well, yeah, and then actually, even in the Twitter post, he says, "I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything with it." And then he literally does say, "I don't like some of the stuff in it,
but I wish him the best of luck."
Yeah, but my thing is, if you don't know anything about it, how can you not like anything in it? In that, what he says in the very beginning. Hold on. To go back to the actual thing. Hold on.
If the left allows it to be. You know what? This comment.
He says.
Is valid, and he's not the only one saying stuff like this. How do we know that Donald Trump is a part of Project 2025? He has his own agenda. How do we know that he's even aware of this? And here's the deal. Donald Trump claims he isn't. He posted up.
I know nothing about Project 2025. I have no idea who is behind it. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with it. How can you say I disagree with some of the things they're saying and say I know nothing about it?
How can you say it and then wish them luck?
Well, that too. But
how can you say it's abysmal and I want nothing to do with it, but I wish them luck?
Yeah, and you can't say you don't know nothing about it and then say you disagree with some of it. I don't think there's anything in there he could disagree with. I mean, it's basically his layman's plan of what he wants to do. He's trying to walk away from it because there is starting to be people. You know, I've been talking about Project 2025. If you go to my Socratic Method TikTok, I've been talking about it since, oh my Lord. I put out videos. You have to scroll way down. Way early this year. I was doing them
last year.
It could have even been last year because it was before I started with the gypsy stuff in January. So in the beginning, that account was for things like that, and I did actually what the video that they must be getting some type of traction because people have been I've been getting a lot in my notifications about my Project 2025 video. Actually, I wonder how many views it has gotten at this point because I'm starting to get a lot of notifications about it. And I'm wondering how many. Where am I? Yeah, I am on this account. Hold on. Let's see if I go. I don't have to scroll that far down because they're. Let's see. View more. Just gonna scroll down here for a second because it's at the it's so far down on my page. It's unreal. I'd never be able to go down there and find it. Come on. It's not loading, seriously. And for me to have to go down there and find it, I don't think I ever could. It's shoot. Probably hundreds back at this point. Oh, this is wild. I've been getting notifications from it left and right, but suddenly now I can't find it. That makes no sense. I literally get. Nope, that's not it. That is wild. No, that's not it. Of course. Why would I suddenly be able to find it? I can't even find any of the notifications for it anymore. I don't know how that's possible, but I'm all the way back to July 14th. And I know I've gotten them since then, so that's freaking wild. Because it's really far down on my page, I can tell you that. I feel like I should duet it. I feel like I should go back, find it, and duet it again to get more word out there, maybe. Because I did it a long time ago. This is wild. I can't believe I can't find one notification for it. I've been getting them. I've been seeing them. Better not took my video down. Of course, at this point, would it surprise me? No. What better way to just, scrub everything off the internet? God, it might be quicker for me to scroll to the bottom of my page. Probably not. This is nuts. I feel like I should do edit, though, to bring it back up. I have to scroll forever, apparently, but hey. I get a lot of notifications, apparently. I don't check my notifications as often as I should, apparently. Hello. And now it's stuck. Now it's not even scrolling. What do I have to do to get all the way down to the bottom of my page to pull it back up? But anyway, if you missed the first portion, the first portion is in part 1 of this. I had to get off and feed my dogs. So if you want to educate yourself more, there's a whole nother short live before this one that goes into some of the other portions of it. But I think I'm going to get off here for now. I think I've addled you guys' brains with enough information that hopefully you can think about some things, pass along some things, and try to do your part in trying to stop basically a dictatorship. Because we're all going to lose in the end. I don't think people understand that. It's not worth it just to be able to be an open bigot. I mean, at this point, people have been open bigots during Biden's presidency. I mean, it's not going to matter. It's not going to change people. So, but yeah, if I ever do find that video, I think I'm going to do edit or something. I can't even find it now. All right. Well, I'm going to go play my game for a while before he goes to go to bed. So hopefully you guys have learned something today. And I appreciate those who did come back to finish doing this. And I'm sorry I had to cut it into 2 different lives, but I had to go feed my dogs and show him how to do it because he's supposed to do it on Sundays, but he didn't know their new feeding agenda. So anyways, I'll talk to y'all later.